Monday couldn't come any sooner. After taking the floor plans from Santos the day before the last, I spent most of my Sunday drawing up plans and calling in my suppliers. Although no design choices had been made yet, I'm quite sure they'd want high-end appliances, the most expensive materials, and the most pretentious everything. Good morning, Outcast Gaming. This is the first time I've done this one live. They usually did these rich types, besides, from experience at least. Given how badly the whole thing started, it wouldn't hurt to be prepared. I have to check myself, make sure I'm not playing with my gloves as one of the other building tenants. Take the elevator up with me. It makes me self-conscious when the woman's eyes go over me. I'm sure she was going to point out the perceived flaws in my physical appearance. But I'm saved from being paranoid when they went off the floors later. Still, the ride up to my floor is nerve-wracking. Really quick, we're going to be checking something I need to check something with her. Make sure this is going down the right path. Does it not tell you? Oh, that's my save then. The Wrights lived at the very top of the penthouse. The creme de la creme when it comes to condominium and urban living. Just getting access to the place is an ordeal of its own. I had to jump so many hoops, so many security checks, just to secure a key card, not only because of the building management, but because of the Wrights' personal security. It sometimes felt like being interrogated for a crime and not visiting a client at their home. Even when their personal assistant called in to help out and verify my presence, the process is aggravating rather than hastened. Good morning, everyone. Give me 1 second, I gotta grab a drink. Which is almost empty. Yay. Speak of the devil. The elevator doors open, and I'm greeted by none other than Whiskey, not so light lackey.
I do apologize if I kept Mr. and Mrs. Wright waiting. But I'm here now, and I'm ready, so if I may, where are they?
They've just woken up, but they should be down soon. I'm surprised to see you made it through security, and only 5 minutes late.
You said I'd be through security soon, and it took half an hour. Define soon in this context.
I'd make myself comfortable if I were you. I'm going to go and put the kettle on.
About the tea, I don't want to intrude or anything.
The sir does not like being woken up by the whistling. But who am I to deny tea to a guest?
He shows me to the couch before drifting off towards the kitchen, quietly pulling out a teapot, cups, and all sorts of other things in preparation for tea. I ignore the animosity towards his employer that his words implied. I wouldn't be too surprised if Whiskey's own people didn't like him. Accepting the quiet and isolation instead, I brace myself for what's to come. In this case, soon apparently means more than 5 minutes or even 10. I sit in their living room just waiting. And when the kettle starts whistling and the tea has been served, I continue to wait. At least the silence is relaxing. But then there's a crash. I nearly spill tea all over my lap in surprise, and I look up expecting security to come running. Nope, can't sleep, and I take it neither can anybody else that's sitting in this chat room tonight. Even the man at the kitchen counter continues to fix breakfast like he heard nothing. I don't want to speak up about it because he looks far too absorbed in his cooking. And I don't want to be the cause of burnt food or worse. However, there's something in me that just wants to figure out what that was, although I'm normally not so nosy. What should I do then? Let's see, so we have 2 choices here. save work. Check it out or continue to wait. Let's check it out. The crash came from the hallway, and I really shouldn't be snooping about. But it's just concern. Yeah, concern that urges me to check it out. Sneaking a glance at the butler, I consider sneaking off, but...
Excuse me, but where's the loo?
He barely looks my way before pointing a spatula towards the hallway. Excuse me, I is working an overnight shift. That's fine. It's a good excuse as any. What is going on with that? Sorry. And if I'm caught lingering longer than I should, I could just excuse myself and say that I wasn't sure which door led to where. Still, looking in the hallway reveals nothing. I don't see anything that might have caused the crash. The hallway, like the rest of the place, is in pristine condition. There are several doors for not only the toilet, but also presumably rooms for their butler and for other members of the staff. As I stand, however, something feels definitely out of place. By the way, how's the audio, guys? One of the doors, the nearest within my reach, stands ajar, and from inside a light flickers incessantly. Okay, good. It could simply be a light bulb that needs replacing. But the thought of it in place so well taken care of seems off. I think that maybe this is where the crash came from. Inside, I can spy a radio lying on the floor. That's probably it, right? Maybe one of the help, in a hurry to get out of the room, knocked it over in the process. If that's all it is, I should really leave it alone. As I turn to leave, the sound of static fills the air, and a man's tinny voice interrupts the silence. Oh, look, Silent Hill.
At 7 in the morning, students found a 5th year dead.
Why am I still standing here?
Assumed to have fallen from her dormitory window.
This seems familiar, doesn't it?
Authorities are investigating the possibility of foul play.
Like I've heard it before.
Reporting from St. Samthins, Shane McLaughlin of Galway Bay, AM.
What the?
And I hope you all don't get any more sleep. I recoil, backing away from whatever that was. In the process, I trip backwards on my feet, and I wait for the pain of falling flat on my back. But instead, I feel a hand on my back and see the smug smile of, well, guess who?
Oh, don't tell me you're reporting to work drunk, Mint.
Of course, I know exactly who that voice belongs to. It just had to have been him.
Marianne McCullough, hammered on the job? That would be something.
But...
Wouldn't dream of it, Whiskey. You're allowed to be if you wanted, though it's a bit early for it. So thanks for the save.
Really, it is much appreciated. Even though the circumstances during our first meeting were not savory or wholesome, I can't bring myself to completely look at Mr. Wright in a bad light. Nothing came out of it after all.
It's no trouble at all. I've been told I have a gift for catching pretty ladies, being a great catch myself.
Is that so? Would you say you'll be able to catch if another man were to pitch?
Perhaps, but I wouldn't know. I don't play baseball, Mint.
Right. Of course you don't.
I can't help but chuckle at my joke, but it looks like it's completely went over his head. If he had understood it, I guess it would have been inappropriate. He is my client, after all. Speaking of which... whatever little camaraderie I had with Whiskey is forgotten, however. I straighten up and glance behind him, only to find that he is on his own. Miss Wright is still absent. I still remember my place and why I'm here. To continue in such a manner with her husband would feel like a breach of trust between my client and I.
Since you are here, I don't suppose Mrs. Wright is on her way down? It is 10:30 after all.
She'll be down here in a moment. For now, you have me. Can't I just chat with a good friend?
I don't think a night where we talk like two drunk Egypts makes us good friends. And if you have any bit of sense, it's better to forget that night ever happened.
What? Why not? It was a good night, if a bit boring.
You know exactly why. We both know what your intentions were that night. And to find out that you're married? If there's even an ounce of decency in you, if you'd like the world to be a little less messed up, you'll remember your wife and what you almost did to your Mrs. Wright.
It's better to get that out of the way once and for all.
Well, no need to be such a killjoy about it.
The dead air between us, because it can't be anything else but that, is broken as a lively voice calls out from the loft.
Marianne! I hope I haven't kept you waiting too long. I know we agreed we'd start at 10 o'clock, but mornings just simply do not agree with me. Not one bit. It's been like this since I've been in university.
It's 5 to 11 o'clock. These high-end clients sure like to be fashionably late. I'm used to it though, much like how I'm used to so many years of hearing people mispronounce my name. Besides, berating or correcting my client would be extremely impolite, and Marianne doesn't sound too bad when she says it. To be fair, it doesn't seem like she's late on purpose.
I see you're up, darling. You know, you could have woken me up as well. Were you showing Marianne around? Not that there's much to see. This place is so tiny compared to the mansion.
I'm more worried about the way she stares at me, judging. Such a look. It doesn't suit her pretty face at all. Just seeing Miss Wright reminds me too much of her. And maybe I'm starting to hear her again, see her again when I shouldn't. I should have left it all behind, forgotten it. To think she would be looking at me that way. I can just feel my hands trembling.
Oh yes, just showing her around and getting to know each other. Isn't that right, Marianne?
Yes, of course. And your butler was making breakfast a while ago. So if you want to get right to that...
Breakfast would be lovely.
There's no denying the clients when they invite me over to the table. Though it is too personal to share a meal in their home, it would be terribly rude to deny their invitation. Besides, the pancakes did look and smell heavenly. A bowl of clotted cream, fruit syrups, jams, and other spreads are laid out next to them, making for a colorful arrangement. If this was brunch with friends, I would have gladly helped myself to the whole lot. But as it is, I accept just a few pieces of pancakes, topped it off with lemon and sugar.
You know, I was a tiny bit serious when I said I wanted a helipad.
And you're not serious about the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables?
Well, I do want those too, but I know you'll agree to those.
We're talking about interiors here, honey. You don't handle exterior designs and whatever handles those sorts of projects do you, Marianne?
I'm able, actually, and willing to take a project of that nature. I was an architect in Ireland before. Of course, that's another contract entirely. I also suggest we finish the house itself before working on any additions to the rest of the property. There won't be any problems about ownership this time, will there? Pardon if I'm crossing a line, but the acquisition was rather quick.
Oh, don't you worry. We've got everything sorted this time around. I've talked to Miss Cooper and Mr. John from BRC, as well as the old owners. Everything has been paid in full, and all we're waiting for is the paperwork from the land registry. They're letting us move in as soon as we please. It's not like they were living there in the first place.
That's good to hear. The problems that could arise from renovating another person's home would be... well, let's not dwell on it. First off, we'll want to know how you want the place to look. It's pretty furnished as is, but I understand if you want to modernize the whole thing.
Actually, I'd prefer to keep the place looking as it is, But at the same time, I want modern appliances.
That should be doable.
You worked on the Ludgate's Christchurch summer residence. I do remember there being an oven I thought was a simple drawer before. Make them look vintage, antique, blend in with the rest of the decor.
Customize appliances then. I can't find someone for that, and if you can't tell me what you specifically want, it'll hasten up the process. We're talking about electronic appliance manufacturers. If you have a preferred brand to work with.
Splendid! So, what is next on our agenda? All the other interior designers we've hired in the past do not have us this involved.
I stopped. What sort of half-baked designer did that? If I knew who they were, I'd have words. This isn't the time or place for it, however. Instead, I use this brief pause to pull out the floor plans I brought with me.
We'll have to figure out what you want to do with the rooms. Here, we can have a quick run through.
What is that little room next to the master's bedroom?
Oh, as far as I could tell when I saw it, it's a second bedroom of sorts. Used, apparently, for the ladies in waiting who has served Lady Charlotte Ermengarde. Which is strange, as that isn't the norm for these sorts of houses.
Well, we're not stuffing Johans in there. He won't fit. You don't suppose we could turn it into a walk-in closet and a dressing room?
I love fashion, but do we really need to turn an entire room into a walk-in closet, dear? We'll have large closets and a wardrobe in the bedroom already.
Says the one who takes 3/5 of our closet. Well, what do you suggest we do with it?
I thought a utility room of some sort would be nice. A craft room where I can do fun things. Or maybe a children's room might be nice. You know, for when Kylie comes over. Or if Rochelle visits once she's had a baby.
1, you are not inviting that witch. And 2, there's a whole mansion for Kylie to play in. We don't need a children's room, and you don't even do arts and crafts. I'd like to turn the guest's room and the study into my personal office, by the way, if you don't mind.
You can turn it into a personal office if I can have my utility room. It's just the one room of the many. I'm taking that room for myself, no matter what you say, dearie. So you might as well take this deal. You're always out doing business anyway. The real problem is the theater. Whatever are we going to do with all that space?
Fine, we could turn it into our own personal cinema, I suppose. Might as well have it, if you plan on not having a telly in the parlor.
Yes, well, I don't want guests to be glued to the telly when they come over for a meal and some tea. By the looks of things, we can keep the rooms as what they are on the ground floor, though. The ballroom would be perfect for parties.
Do we really need a dining hall, though? I don't suppose we can't convert it into a garage.
That's a terrible idea. You go sit in the corner and you're not allowed to come out.
What for? You can park your cars outside.
Build it. Build a garage.
What about that room, right there, in the northwest corner?
That's sleeping quarters for the household help?
Oh, that is perfect! Johans will be glad if we have other staff members who stayed in. It'd be convenient so they don't have to make the trip from Luxbourne to the mansion when they're needed.
You'll definitely need a lot more people to maintain a property of this size.
The mansion is really a lot bigger than I thought. Look at all these rooms. I didn't even know there was a music room next to the parlor because of what happened.
There was a grand piano in there too, when we checked during the tour.
Did you hear that, Luke? Maybe you can take up playing the piano again. Oh, you should have seen him when we were younger, Marianne.
It's not like I was very good with the thing.
Oh, hush you. You were no Mozart, but I loved hearing you play nonetheless. He'd come over to my home and he'd play such fun tunes. He'd sing too and I'd dance and it was just...
Oh, it almost sounds like they were a cute couple. Mr. Wright playing the piano? I can't imagine it. But the earnest way in which Miss Wright is said so told otherwise.
Anyway, what do you think of these plans, Marianne?
Are we not even going to consider one of my requests? Not even just a closet or just a garage?
Build the dang garage. You can do that. You have all of that land.
Now, that isn't fair, is it? You're not the only one who's going to be living here.
I hardly see how that's unfair. I told you you're getting your office and your theater, the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables. That sounds fair, does it not, Marianne?
I don't want to side with him. He's a dick. But I feel like we can compromise. What do you guys think in the chat room? Should we say yes, it sounds fair, or compromise? Now remember, this game actually does have meaning to each choice, because there are branching paths for everything. Oh, everybody wants to compromise. I really wish they didn't look at me like that. This is their decision to make. But if they want to ask for a professional's point of view, I'll be happy to give my 2 cents.
You can still have a garage.
See, Marianne agrees with me. Thank you.
But the structural integrity of the mansion might be at risk if we try to turn the dining hall or any of the rooms into a garage. Taking down one of the exterior walls might hit one of the support beams. And with a mansion that old, I'd rather not risk it, especially without closer inspection. There's always compromise, of course.
If you haven't seen the first few episodes, go and check them out. I've been playing it on the main channel. But yes, they are basically moving into a haunted mansion.
I suppose that's better than nothing. Better than flat out saying no.
Mrs. Wright does have a point. There's plenty of space for a garage outside of the mansion itself.
We were right.
If you'd like a covered parking space, we can arrange something on the grounds instead.
Then we better go there. I want to see where we can build a garage.
Yes, no time like the present. You want a thorough inspection? Might as well do it now.
Haven't even done that yet.
We actually took another look at the property yesterday, though it was brief. But I'm sure you would want to see it yourself, to spot anything we might have missed.
It's not like I have much of a choice, do I? Riding to the Emmergard mansion in their rice is an awkward affair. Not only am I worried about scuffing the expensive leather seats, but I'm also worried about getting in the middle of another couple's spat. With the tension thick in the air, I can feel them staring at each other anytime. Nobody is saying anything, up until Mr. Wright tells his valet to turn the damn radio off. And for a moment, I think that he might start. But instead, he just stays quiet, and so do the rest of us. In the end, the sufferable silence stays. I have never been so glad to see a house. Stepping out of the car and up to the mansion meant the end of an uncomfortable ride, and I can finally take a deep breath of fresh air. The beauty of the place never fails to make me gaze and wonder every time I see it as well. Miss Wright moves toward the front doors, keys in hand, and I can already hear Mr. Wright blotting.
All right, Johans, we're going to go in, but I want you to look around the place. Familiarize yourself with it. Know every nook and cranny, every inch of the lot. Go and see where we can put that vineyard and the other things we talked about. We'll want to know where to station security as well, so go around the perimeter and figure it out.
Scout the property and circle the perimeter on foot. You do know this is 46 acres of land, sir.
Well, you are not driving a car over the grass. Put those long, spidery legs of yours to good use. I didn't hire you to stand around and look intimidating. Go, mush.
Someday I'd like to ask how Johans can even stand and tolerate the man. Why doesn't he just quit? Certainly the pay can't be that good. Even I'm a bit put off by our mutual employer, and the only thing that keeps me from bailing is the fact that we've already signed a contract. At least, I'll only be working for them during the duration of the project. He works with them every day.
Sometimes I think you hired me to make me suffer for your amusement.
Someday I'd ask him. I feel a bit bad for him. If it's any consolation, he'll be away from Mr. Wright, if only for a little while. It is really a nice mansion. We're able to enter the mansion after a bit of standing out there in the sun. This wretched, strange sunlight that is far too alien and rare. There had been a bit of a problem. I can't read. With the missus not knowing which key was which. The first item on the agenda would be the grand staircase. It seems sturdy during the open house, but a closer inspection might say otherwise. There are no obvious marks of damage, nor wear and tear, probably rethreaded during renovations. Peeking under the grand carpet, the wood is properly installed, with the bark placed down to prevent cupping. I have no idea what that means. The carpet itself could use a vacuuming, though. Structural conditions, from what I can see without actually dismantling the thing, look to be in good shape, and the handrails and support posts are firm. The work on it should be commended. I can't look much more into the rest of the foyer, however, because Mr. Wright starts to hurry us into checking the dining hall.
So, what do you think? Certainly we can't turn this area into a garage.
No, that would be freaking insane.
It's Jacobean architecture. I'd say these would be pilasters and not buttresses, but you never really know. They really liked mixing up these elements. You could say it was pretty avant-garde at the time. We might hit a support beam if we're not careful.
And in layman's terms?
From what I see here, we could risk great damage to the house if we try to turn the dining hall into a garage.
The man didn't look too pleased. There's a look of disappointment before he sighs and looks around the place with an air of defeat. When he moves to speak, I dread another unreasonable demand again.
This will stay a dining hall then. But if I may have another request instead, at least spruce the place up with some flowers, some plants or something. It feels so old and dead in here.
That's hardly unreasonable. Daffodils are a must, I presume.
The look that passes between the two of them, there's a genuine look of fondness there. This is the first time I've seen such an exchange between the two of them. If anyone are to see them like this, there's a little doubt that they love each other.
Of course. And I want a garden full of them.
This guy looks about 22. Actually, I think we can see his age. Give me a moment. Well, no, we can't. We don't know how old he is yet.
Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to look at the rest of the house. I'll just be around here downstairs if anybody needs me.
That leaves Miss Wright and I.
He's quite fond of them, you know.
I can imagine. He looked terribly upset when we told him he can't have his garage.
I meant the daffodils. We always have a vase full of them in every house we own. Somewhere, I'd like to think. They may be about his mother. He never talks about her. I don't even know her name. He likes to flatter, claim that they remind him of me, but he's always loved the flowers, even before we married.
Much like the piano, I didn't take him for a person who liked flowers. Daffodils, least of all. What's next? Am I going to find out that Mr. Wright saves kittens from burning buildings?
I'll go and snoop about upstairs. You go and do whatever it is that you have to do.
When she goes out without even asking if I need her here, I'm left standing to stare at the walls. Really, I don't need to do a thorough inspection of the building itself. It isn't really part of the interior designer's job. But the architect in me is committed to doing this task with every project. If I'm going to make a living space that has both form and function, I might as well make sure that the entirety of it is safe for my clients. Since I'm already here, I roam around the dining hall to check things off my punch list, if you will. Sorry, I don't know if you guys heard me hit my mic. Yeah. But when it's time to move on, I hesitate. Mr. Wright said he would be somewhere around here on the ground floor, and I really didn't want to be alone with the whiskey. It said Miss Wright. I have to look through the place eventually, sure. But on the other hand, I can do it later when he's gone. I can go upstairs first if I want to. Alright, everyone. Do you want to check the ground floor? Or the first floor? I don't think whiskey's going to do anything to us. But you never know. Really quick, I did want to show those that are just arriving. Not that. But that is cool. Oh, we have a really good relationship with him right now. Ooh, we got a minus with Hana right now. That's bad. Where am I looking? I'm looking for this. Just to show you guys, this is how big this game actually is. So we have quite a ways to go. Look at that. Look at that, everyone. Look at it. Look at that. Look at all that. Yay. 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 First floor. First floor. Flip a coin. I'm gonna go with the first floor. Remember, we can always change it. Good God. Yeah, this is, again, if you haven't seen my other episodes of this, it is up on the main YouTube channel. And I really do enjoy this game. In fact, I might continue to do it live. And then when we finish this, do Corpse Party. But this will be our late night gaming. I've already seen enough of this floor during the open house. Did I pick the right one? Hold on. Did I pick the right one? Wait. I spaced out. Give me a second. First floor, okay. I've already seen enough of this during the open house. Yep, you guys want a first floor. Of course, I know that it's just a convenient excuse. I just don't want to be in the same room as Whiskey anytime soon. So I might as well just go upstairs first. The banister on the grand staircase landings are solid and at a proper height. Any lower and they would be in trouble. Fun fact, the place that I actually had to leave, the stairs were terrible. There's a small catch on the carpet though. But as long as nobody tries to run down the stairs until it gets fixed, things should be alright. And the stained glass art? Oh, I've always wanted a house with stained glass art. Restored, no doubt, in the image of the last lady and lord of Emergard. Or it was supposed to be until Lady Charlotte's fiancé was brutally murdered. By a witch of all things. From what I've read, you'd think the historians of this place would be a lot more scrutinizing, filtering out stuff like that. I'm amazed they bothered with it, instead of replacing it with some generic cookie-cutter design. This entire piece alone would have cost roughly 500, even £1 million. Lady Charlotte Emergard and her beloved. Looking at the mosaic, it's not too far a stretch of the imagination to believe that the depicted images could be Mr. and Mrs. Wright. It can easily be assumed as such, if one doesn't know the history of the mansion. Really, a place like this should be protected by government as a landmark. But what can I do about it? Walking into the estate wing, I try to go into the theater, but is met with an obstacle. The obstacle that is a locked door. 2 doors. 2. And both of them are locked. I'd be frustrated. Would be. If I already hadn't snuck off while the Wrights were having their little business meeting with Miss Cooper before taking a peek. I need another drink. With what Mr. Wright wanted, we'd have to install a powerful projector, the type they use in cinemas, and a projection screen. Man, that would be cool, and use it to play video games. That would totally become my streaming room. I just set the computer up to the projector, and that would be the coolest thing ever. The seats would have to be reupholstered if they're to be any comfortable, and the walls will have to be covered in dark material, paint wallpaper, or install wall-to-wall carpeting. Oh, that would be heaven. really all the rooms I could be jealous of. This is the one. Find me a library and I'd be jealous. I could just picture myself in there watching old kung fu flicks on a weekend's long marathon, playing video games on such a large screen. Yeah, think about it. Think about it. Everyone's sitting around while you're playing a video game and you're streaming. It'd be the coolest. I don't know, maybe I'm just silly. I'd love to have a nice big screen to play video games on. I've never been able to do that. Like, my old 40-inch is sitting here, and I know it's dying soon, which I'll probably get another one, but it would still be really cool to have a big screen. Especially, like, for your computer screen and everything, where you can just sit, like, halfway across the room and stuff. Makes me wonder what kinds of movies Miss Wright would like. Rom-coms, perhaps? Her husband, on the other hand, I'd rather not think about it. Welcome, everyone. Everyone's like, oh, the No Sleep Gang. It is the No Sleep Gang tonight. I don't know what's got me not sleeping tonight. In the middle of my notation and planning, I don't even realize that I'm not alone until I'm caught standing in front of the locked door like a fool.
Were you meaning to go in there? I'm afraid we won't be able to open it up today.
Oh well, I wanted to, but it's fine. I can still survey the rest of the place.
Apologies, but the key was missing when they were handed over. They told us that they'd get right back to us with it.
What? But aren't they supposed to hand over all the keys once property changes hands? That can be grounds to file a complaint.
They were already kind enough to let us move in so early. There's no need to raise a fuss about it.
It's literally one key.
Worst comes to worst, we can call for a locksmith.
See? Sounds to me like a good time, yeah. The air is heavy and somber when she grows quiet and glances out the window. I'd totally be watching monster flicks and stuff on that. One day, I'll become a big enough YouTuber to get a house where I can have a theater room. Out towards the vast expanse that surrounded what would be their house. Just pick the lock. I mean, yeah, or remove the door. Their home. Then she looks back at me with a sigh and a bitter smile.
Flowers. Yellow flowers. Daffodils, dandelions, and sunflowers and the sort all up front. Just a whole garden of them. They'll make the house look lovely, won't they?
Of course. A garden is a wonderful addition to any home.
As I say this, her eyes roam over me, scrutinizing and thoughtful. I have to hold back a shiver that threatens to run down my spine at being inspected so closely.
Yes, it must be nice.
We're still talking about the gardens, yes?
I mean, not having to worry about what another person thinks of you.
Did you insult me?
What do you mean by that?
She lifts her hand and points to her wedding ring before it falls listlessly to her side.
Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I didn't marry Luke.
That's not a good sign.
There'll be no fights about walk-in closets or silly helipads. I could do with this place as my heart desires until there's nothing but content.
Lady, it's like 1 or 2 rooms. Give it up. Let the man have his rooms.
Then again, I wouldn't have bought this place if it wasn't a gift for him. I probably wouldn't even be in Luxbourne if it wasn't for him.
So you gave him a gift and then you demanded all the rooms and what they'd be. Yeah, it sounds about right.
Maybe I would have moved to London, Manchester, or Birmingham. I might have even left the country altogether. France, Germany, Spain, Canada, Sweden, even America. The possibilities would have been endless.
I don't know what to say to that. What is there to say?
I'm sorry, I must sound so petty and ungrateful. I do love him. So very much, even if he can be a bit difficult at times.
Oh no, not at all. I'm just confused why you're telling me this, of all people.
Just a whim, I think. Just flights of fancy, that's all. Don't you ever think about one decision you've made in your life and wonder how much would change if you chose to do things differently?
Yep, and I'm really glad I made that big change.
I try not to dwell on the past, ma'am.
The key word is try, of course. Thinking of that past brings up too many ghosts. Memories of her. And I do wonder what would change if I just said yes when she asked for me. Maybe she'd still be with me. I return to the present, like I said. I try not to dwell. Why don't you decide on your own? You must have been quite a pair. What is this woman? She's rich.
You must have been quite the pair, Mrs. Wright.
I need to see what that did to our relationship. Oh, we got a plus back.
Hannah Evans and Luke Wright taking Luxbourne by storm. At least, that's what I've heard.
That giggle, that gets a giggle out of her. I win. And can I be blamed if I like the way her eyes crinkled or how she sounded when she laughed?
Quite the celebrity couple, according to all the newspapers. But it wasn't always that way. Father certainly didn't approve of him at first.
Hold on, I gotta move the chat room a bit. You guys are being moved to the left side. Congratulations, y'all finally made it. Party. Party hard. Y'all made it.
Why, he told me to stay away from him. Told me that I was too good for him.
Honey, you probably were.
That's the usual overprotective dad speak, though. But of course you know that.
Yeah, we'll go with I know that. I don't. I was too busy keeping my grades up at boarding school to maintain my scholarship. Never mind the fact that I went to an all-girls boarding school, so father never had any reason to fuss over boys trying to date his little girl.
And what did you tell him? Considering you are Mrs. Wright now, you or the mister must have convinced him otherwise.
Yes, well, I told him I was my own woman and I could decide who was deserving of me or not on my own. Thank you very much. That never stopped him from making sure Luke couldn't get anywhere near me without an escort and a guard anyway. Though he certainly wasn't that overprotective when I was dating Jack.
Maybe your father considered this Jack a more capable man?
I doubt it. Jacqueline was nowhere close to being any sort of a role model when we were in college. She was rebellious, reckless, and immature. Everything I wasn't. But she was quite the charming, stunning woman, and I think that made her quite likable.
That takes me by surprise, a lot more than by the fact that Mr. Wright's father-in-law didn't like him. That much was to be expected. But this, I have nothing against them because that's their thing, though the nuns and the priest would say otherwise. Although, wasn't she worried about the implications, the rumors that would have arisen about her dating another of the same sex? Especially with someone of her social status?
You look surprised, Marianne. The first thing anybody needs to know about me is that I go after what I want. And when it comes to who I love, it doesn't matter to me whether they're a man or a woman.
As long as they're legal. It's nice enough. It's a nice enough sentiment. Still, the thought of this lovely woman before me had once been with another woman. I can feel my cheeks heat up a bit, and I panic, thinking they might be red enough for Mrs. Wright to notice. I can't tell though. A coy smile. I can't tell though. A coil. I'm gonna try that one again. I can't tell though. A coy smile graces her lips. There, did it. Why could I not say that sentence?
Legs, we called her, because of how often she was running about because of one thing or another. Climbing up walls and, what do they call it now? Parkour. And also because of her, well, legs.
And you went after her?
Not right away. When I first met her, I wanted nothing to do with her. She was so improper and uncouth. But I slowly realized that didn't mean she was a bad person. On the contrary, she did many a good thing and was always so nice to others. I found myself confused. I couldn't figure out if I wanted to be her or wanted to be with her. So I approached her, told her that I might have fancied her.
And your father didn't mind?
He must have thought it was my form of rebellion. But he never watched out for Jack as much as he watched out for Luke. If I didn't love my father so much, if he hadn't raised me right, I think I might have told him to bugger off. He's never been more attentive of me than when I started bringing home dates.
I'm sure he loved you very much.
She laughs once more, a glow about her. I know, she says with a small smile.
I suppose I've taken too much of your time with my silly stories. You still have much to inspect.
This isn't a game from Japan. I believe the developers are either from China or Japan. I can't remember. I've talked to the developers a few times with this game because I did a couple of reviews for their other games, and I'll be reviewing and streaming their next game. But I want to say they might be Japanese. They pick great voice actors for their games, and they're very, very nice people. The translations are a little bit here or there, but I still say this is a pretty solid game. And we are seeing a lot of visual novels from other Asian countries now, and don't quote me that it's Chinese. I can't remember. Hold on, let me do a double check really quick, because now that's bugging me. Let's see, Yin Yang Mobile is their name, so give me 1 second, everyone. Yin Yang Mobile. Or I can't spell mobile. Yang, I'm sorry, Yang Mobile. Oh, they're from the Philippines. Oh, I am a complete terrible person. Please don't ever listen to the thing I say. I'm such a horrible person. Holy moly. Also, it unfollowed me from them on Twitter. I don't like that. They're from the Philippines. So I believe this is actually the first visual novel we've done from there.
I still have most of this floor, and I'll want a quick run through of the ground floor again later.
I shan't keep you from your work any longer then. Just call me if you need anything. I'd like to look around myself.
When she turns to leave, she glances back at me before disappearing into the foyer. I look out the window for where she was standing, and I move on. Alone with nothing but my thoughts and her.
Finally, some peace and quiet. Thought the old biddy would never leave.
It's utter madness, this hearing things. I reckon it's stress, though I don't know what exactly I'm stressed about. If meeting Miss Wright has really thrown me for a loop, I'd be worried. Oh, he lives there. How does he like it there? I have an aunt from there, and she's told me how beautiful it is there. If I'm developing some sort of psychosis or disorder, well, I'd call a doctor. But hopefully this isn't that. Not right here, not right now. I mean, it could just be that personal talking cricket, the conscience, so to speak, and I'm only now noticing. Though if it is, it isn't very helpful. Pushing the dilemma of voices in my head aside, I go back to work. But I can barely make it a few steps before everything tilts and shifts. I don't really stumble, but it feels like I'm being thrown off my feet, and the rest of the world just follows. Though my feet stay firmly on the ground, and even if I stay mostly upright, I feel like I've been heaved and put off balance. Been there, done that one. I have to close my eyes in the hopes of willing the sudden sense of vertigo away. But when I open them, he loves it, he's enjoying his retirement and all. Well, good, I'm glad. One day I want to travel the world and get to see other countries and stuff. Well, I don't feel any less sick because of the sight that greets me. Blood drips from the walls and ceiling, pooling downwards and seeping into the curtains and the carpet. A wave of nausea stronger than the last hits me, along with the overpowering stench of blood and gore. I want to bolt. The rational part of my head is telling me to flee. Run, bitch, run! And I would have gladly done as it asked, if only I didn't hear her.
In here, Marianne. Come on, I have something to show you.
I could have ignored it. Would have ignored it. If I only heard it in my head. But I swear that this time it's coming from one of the rooms. Much further into the study. And I feel compelled to pay attention. I can't just turn around and leave. Not when it's her. I don't even think as I follow the sound of her voice. Lorraine? I think it's Lorraine. Lorraine. Lovely Amanda Lorraine. Good luck with that last name. She was my friend, the only one that I had at St. Samthans. I was a scholar, a charity case, in a school for privileged and pretentious young girls. They all looked down at me, if they cared to look at me or acknowledge my presence at all. All except her. He sends pictures. Oh wow, you should share some of the scenery pictures in the Discord. I'd love to see it.
Oh, stop your crying. You know better than to listen to Maeve. Why, I gotta teach that butterface a lesson.
Wait, no, lass! I don't want you getting into trouble with the sisters again!
Relax. It's not like I'm going to stomp her and her lackey's arses flat like last time.
Come on, let's just go back to our dorm room. I don't want to be on my Tobler while you go get yourself punished.
Can somebody tell me what a toddler is?
You'll be fine. Gip's there with you.
Lorraine was there, and when I needed her, through my highs and lows. Having her as a friend made being in a strange school away from my father all the more tolerable. She saw this poor helpless girl who was kept down and shunned by everyone else, and being the kind soul that she was, she rescued me. So brave, so beautiful. She was something else.
I'll eat all the chocolates stashed away in your closet if you go.
I can get more. Just don't go complaining to me if you get a tummy ache because of that.
Well, you don't want to get detention on a weekend, do you? It's a Friday. We can go to town and have some karaoke. And we can have a go at druids and demons again. You're not going to miss that just because of Maeve, are you?
Sometimes I question what I did to deserve a friend like her. In the darkest corners of my mind, where treacherous thoughts lurked, I thought that she only felt sorry for me. Maybe she was just being a good Samaritan offering a helping hand. And perhaps I had been too selfish to return the favor.
You have a point. I'll just kick her arse on Monday then.
That's not what I mean!
I know what you mean, Em.
Wait, where are you going? You just told me you wouldn't cause trouble.
I still have something to do. Don't worry, it's not like I'm going to burn down her dorm room or something criminal like that. I'm just going to talk to her. Maybe I'll make it so that her room smells like a dog's air biscuit. That'll make it an excellent weekend. I'll see you in a bit, Marianne. Lots of tobblers.
Because when she told me that she loved me, I couldn't admit that I felt the same way. Not to her, not even to myself. It was wrong. I was taught that way. Husband and wife, one man and woman. Can you guys believe their next two games are porn games? Is it another version of D&D? It might be. Unclean, impure. I prayed for her. I prayed for her and I, for our sins and for salvation. I wanted to apologize for disregarding her feelings so callously. It must have been like a slap to the face for her. But life had gotten in the way. Exams, which were trivial in hindsight, now took top priority. I had to keep my grades up, to keep my scholarship for my father. I told myself I would apologize to her when those were over, that I needed to focus first and not let anything distract me. It had been easy when she avoided me like the plague. She was upset. I get that. I thought I had the time to make things right, but...
At 7 in the morning, students found a 5th year dead. Assumed to have fallen from her dormitory window.
They told us that it was an accident. That was the official statement. But I knew better. She was dead because of me.
Maeve had a hoot and I kicked the bucket, didn't she? Ding dong, the witch is dead!
She had, though she didn't say which. Lorraine.
But at least Maeve had the courage to admit how she felt about me.
I don't even know how long I've been stuck here in a trance. In the mirror, Lorraine smiles at me. She's as beautiful as I remember her. But then... Yep, that's not beautiful anymore. I feel bile rise up in my throat as her clean image warps into how she looked when they had found her dead, laying on the cold, hard ground. Good Saint Dimphna, great wonder worker, in any affliction of mind, body, help me. I'm seeing things, hearing things. Am I going completely insane? Looking everywhere but at her, I hope and pray that it's enough to will whatever this is to go away. It doesn't even immediately register in my head that I can just leave.
You, on the other hand, can't even look me in the eye.
This isn't real. You're not. You're dead!
I'm dead. Because of you. And you won't even look at me. Look at me.
My breathing quickens, and I can feel my heart being torn apart by her words.
I'm so sorry, Lorraine.
Look at me!
I can't take it because she's right. It was my fault. The least I can do is look at what I've done. Lorraine, broken and bleeding, looks at me with such hate-filled eyes. An unnatural smile stretches across her face, and I can only see malice in it. I'm sorry. Then she lunges as the mirror ripples around her form, the glass parting like the water's surface for her. She grips my shoulders, and I can feel her nails dig deep, sharp, even though the fabric of my clothes.
There you are.
Oh, God!
Why won't you love me?
Why will you resize? Apologize spill through my lips as tears cloud my vision. But I won't give in to this madness. With every bit of strength I have, I struggle to get away from her. Fear grips and threatens me. I endure, I escape, and without turning back, I stumble back out. Yes, it is actually a reference to The Grudge and The Ring. This game is a big love letter to these kinds of horrors. In my panic, I don't even care to look where I'm going. With one hand on the wall, I steady me. I just hobble as fast as I can away from the study. Away from the mirror. Freedom is bittersweet. I'm free from the madness. It seems as running out into the hallway reveals it to be in pristine condition. But it means I've turned my back on Lorraine again. I have no plans of stopping, not until I know I'm safe. And if that means walking back to Luxborn, as ridiculous as the idea is, then so be it. Someone suddenly grabs a hold of me, however, fingers digging deep in my shoulders, and my heart nearly stops. My body seizes and I nearly scream.
Marianne, you look awful. I mean, not awful, but did something happen? Are you all right?
This is right.
Without thinking, I sought comfort, seeing that it wasn't her. It's a sudden impulsive thing to do, and had I been in better condition, I wouldn't even dared of such a thing. But I didn't know what else to do. Though I know I shouldn't, her warmth, her scent, they grounded me. She is intoxicating.
Marianne, what's going on? Oh, you're shaking like a leaf.
Tremors run through my body as soon as my mind realized I am no longer in danger. I wanted to cry, scream about what I had seen, like a scared child. I couldn't control myself. My mind couldn't reconcile with what I had seen. I should have just wrote it off as a figment of my imagination, yet I can still feel her nails cutting into my skin.
Are you sick? Should I call for a doctor?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wright. Just feeling a little woozy and lightheaded is all.
Let's get you somewhere to sit down then. Come on, don't worry, I have you.
A lie, but a whole lot less complicated than telling her I was attacked by a dead girl. When the feeling of fear eases off, I feel nothing but shame for my actions. I quickly back away as I clear my throat and nod my thanks.
I think I've had enough looking around. If it's all right with you and Mr. Wright, I'll meet you outside.
If you're sure, I'll have the car started. Do you need assistance heading downstairs?
I would not leave her considering what just happened when you were alone.
I'm all right, ma'am. Just go on ahead and I'll be right there.
It seems to placate her worries, though only for a brief second. Before she heads down, I don't miss the concerned glance she shoots my way, hidden quickly under another smile. I won't begrudge her for it, that worry. The look on my face must have been a strange enough sight, strange enough sight on its own, even though I'm still reeling from whatever that was. Her voice still whispers in my ears. After all these years, she's still... No, Marianne. Shaking my head of the thoughts, I drag a breath, then follow shortly after Miss Wright. It's a good game. This is legitimately a good game, and like I said, I will be doing their other game soon enough. Whatever has happened in the past is long gone, only memories. And those are things I can no longer bring back. It's already dark as we make our way out of the mansion. With no lights, we only illuminate by the headlamps of the Wright's car and the stars above us. The sight of them helped me compose myself, much more than several minutes of being alone did. The car's engine is running, yet the two still stand out in the lawn. Miss Wright is busy, eyes up at the stars. Mr. Wright's arms crossed, as his eyes down on the ground. It is the crunch of grass under my heels that brings their attention to me.
About time. What took you so long? A minute longer and I'd think the house swallowed you all up.
Almost did.
Oh, hush, dear. I'm sure she has her reasons. Marianne doesn't seem the sort to idle.
Sorry, I was just checking on something important.
See, business is business and they take time, love. You should know that better than anyone. So, Marianne, what do you think? Are you the woman for the job? I know we already signed papers hiring you, but I want to be 100% sure that you are committed.
I glanced back towards the mansion, knowing what I had seen there, or rather, who I thought I saw there, because there is just no way. Not to mention how I acted towards Miss Wright, for goodness sake. I should feel the slightest bit hesitant. I was lucky. I've seen enough films to know what happens when a promiscuous woman enters a haunted house. This is my chance to turn it down, make excuses, say that I'm not up for the task, that I need to take care of my old, sick father. Just pay the fine, which is probably outrageous for a contract like this, and let it go. I should turn it down, but for some obstinate reason, I can't. In the same manner, I haven't let go of her, of the regret that has shadowed me since that day. As much as I hate to admit it, even to myself, seeing her again, mischievous glint in her eyes, the loose tendrils of her hair curled around her forehead. It's something I've terribly missed, and now it's here, almost within arm's reach. My father would tell me, sometimes you simply have to go through with it. Consequences be damned. And so is apparently a drink, god damn it. And well, I really don't have any logical reason to say no. I do have a logical reason to go step away for a drink, so everyone give me 1 quick second. I'm gonna put the be right back image. At least not something a client like the Wrights would want to hear from a professional designer.
It's certainly an interesting project. You can be sure I'm seeing it through the end.
Such dedication! Oh, I do love the determination.
You were always determined like that, weren't you?
Hearing her voice again sends a chill running down my back. I can't wait for this day to be over. From the mansion and through Anselm, I rode with them in silence. But as soon as we hit the city proper, I asked to be dropped off and bid them a good night. I thought it'd be best if I didn't stay too long in confined spaces with either Miss or Mr. Wright. Both seemed to cause me serious trouble, and if the project had been any less interesting or grand, I would have dropped it without a second thought. Would have, shouldn't have, won't. Drop my drink. I assure them that my work isn't that far off, and I have to fight off the urge to roll my eyes and groan when whiskey throws me a little smirk. Hi, Matt. Good morning. But even in my own home, peace is elusive, as is sleep. God, do I know that feeling. So does everyone else. Actually, doing this is making me tired, at least. I lie awake, thinking of what I saw in that mansion. Good girl. Or of who I saw. If I so much as hear a single whisper from her, if I so much as see a wisp of her hair, I'm afraid I'll go mad. But none of that happens, and it makes me feel hollow. Have fun at work. Poor thing having to get up this early. For 2 nights, I had trouble sleeping. But it's only one morning when fatigue has already let me rest that I'm reminded of what terrifies me so. In my restless dreams, I see that mirror. A dead person can't send a letter. That's illegal. Damn it, why did that come to mind? Why did that fucking animation come to mind? Because I'm tired and I feel stupid. That's why. The one in the study. And in it, I see her. I see them. Lorraine and Hannah. Hannah and Lorraine.
Poor pathetic Marianne. Work, work, work. She'll work herself to death.
See, she doesn't listen. That's all she did. Look at what happened to me.
They talk among themselves with cruel smiles and venomous tongues. Or rather, to themselves, 2 heads, 1 body. A horrible mockery of these women, as if they were one of the same.
More's the pity. Life goes on and goes out, and she doesn't even see it.
Do you think she'll even realize when she's kicked the bucket herself?
When they say a person has a hard time telling when they're in a dream, it was true often enough. Even with this bizarre sight, even with the obvious implications that it isn't real, I can't help but feel distressed.
Likely. Is that any way to live at all? She might as well be dead.
Cruel fate that she's alive and I'm... well...
Though they speak into each other's ears, tones low and hushed, I can still hear them as clear as day. Their whispers pervade the air, heavy and oppressive. They bury and dig into my head like tiny maggots, worming their way into my skull. It is only then that they take notice of my presence. Eyes turn towards me, and I can only feel small under their scrutiny. Character smiles etched on their faces, mimicking each other grotesquely.
Oh, Marianne! How long have you been standing there, dearie?
Come join us, Marianne. We won't bite. Unless you ask, that is.
Have you been looking at us? Spying? How scandalous. Such a naughty girl.
I'm sure you were just waiting for something lewd to happen, weren't you?
You know she will not admit it. She thinks it wrong. You've said it so yourself.
Yes. She thought me wrong, impure, abnormal, because I loved her.
My breath hitches and I open my mouth to protest, but they stop me screeching. The mirror that holds them cracks, lines spidering across its surface.
Do not lie! We know the gluttonous thoughts you try to deny, girl. All those desires you bury beneath that sickening guilt. You act the martyr when you turn the bed you lie in into your own hedonistic hell. You are nothing but a tainted soul with filth-stained flesh held together by falsehood and pride.
They look livid. And when it looked like they would lunge, I wake, feeling like the wind had been knocked out of me. With a groan, I squint and find a certain fluff ball sitting on my chest, looking as pleased as Punch. She is the overlady of the cats, queen of despair and destruction of nice furniture. Though I can't stay mad at her majesty because it feels like she did something good this time. I was having a nightmare, but I can't even remember what it was about. Trying to recall leaves a terrible pit in my stomach. Maybe it's probably better that I don't remember.
Good morning, Baruthiel. Who's the good kitty? Are you hungry? Is that why you woke me up?
A content purr comes from my sweet dear before she jumps off the bed and trots toward the kitchen. When, on the other hand, it takes me a bit more before I roll out of bed and start my day. Mornings before work are always quite an affair. Shower first, then a mug of coffee, then a bowl of oats. Sometimes I do stretches, and I always check my work email. I do really enjoy this game, and I think we're going to enjoy their other games too. The Wrights will be moving into the mansion today. I don't think their next game I'll be able to do on Twitch, though. I don't think the paperwork is officially done yet. But it isn't too far-fetched to think they were allowed to start their move despite that. Rich people like them will always find a way to get what they want after all.
I'll be leaving you again today, Beth. So you behave and make sure not to shred up my new covers, okay? And don't worry, I didn't forget tomorrow is Black Cat Day, so I'll throw you a party.
Any woman that likes a black cat is a good woman.
But only if you behave like a proper lady.
She barely gives me a glance as I say that before going back to her own food. Cats. Still better than humans most of the time. Too bad I have to work with humans. The place is already busy as soon as I get there. The foreman, one that I've recommended to the Wrights for his work ethic, is early as usual. Already he's instructing men here and there with bigger loads. I have no choice. I have no chance to talk to him as Miss Wright appears and greets me with a smile.
Mrs. Wright, I hope everything has been to your liking thus far.
Is that really a day? I think there is an actual Black Cat Day. I'm not sure. I had a black cat. I only celebrated his birthday, which kind of had to guess on.
Good morning, Marianne. It has been delightful, and these men have been very helpful. all this? It's so busy here. I'm getting tired just looking at them go.
That was the second best cat I ever had.
No complications so far with the movers or the previous owners of the mansion, I hope?
If anything, the only one being problematic is Luke, if I'm to be honest. He can be such a diva, but I do like that about him.
Yeah, I do like how she's dressed. Marianne's got a really interesting dressing style. It's an actual day. Cool. She stops, looking up at the upper landing where Mr. Wright comes through the two other movers and the mirror from the study.
Oh, do be careful with that mirror. We wouldn't want anyone getting hurt because of broken glass.
Yeah, we really wouldn't. In fact, I just had to actually clean up broken glass that fell into the guinea pig's playpen the other day.
Why are you even having it carried around?
Oh? You did say you didn't want the mirror, and I keep getting distracted by it. If I'm going to turn the study into my office, I'd rather not have it there. Where can we put this?
Well, you are not putting it in our room. Why don't you go, I don't know, put it in the wine cellar for now? We can figure out if we'll store it in the attic or somewhere else later, yes?
You heard her, boys. To the cellar it goes. Mush!
The movers bring the mirror one step at a time, no matter how much the men tell them to hurry. An unsettling feeling grows in my stomach as I see our reflection in the bloody thing. And I look away, not wishing to risk anything. If I see Lorraine's, I will never get her name right, image in the mirror now, I wouldn't know what to do. I don't have the luxury of privacy right now, and I'm not going to break down in front of all these people. As soon as they go into the kitchen, I realize I'm holding my breath. I let out a sigh of relief. I think nobody is looking, and I go back to the task at hand. It'll be a terribly busy day, and there's no need for me to even think of anything else. I walk with the foreman, fill him in which room is which. It seems I'm doomed not to get any significant work done without being interrupted when it comes to these particular clients, however.
Marianne, dear, have you had breakfast yet? Well, I do believe it would be considered brunch at this hour.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Wright.
You must join me. Johans has already been breaking in the kitchen, as they say. I do not see the others settling down for a meal anytime soon. Someone might as well enjoy the food while it's hot. And that someone might as well be us.
I should say no. I really must say no. But the way she smiles at me makes it difficult to do so. Look at how ridiculous I'm being, acting like a silly, nervous schoolgirl with a crush. It's just brunch, and who am I to say no to a client? It would be impolite to do so. It's not like I'm going to agree because of anything other than property. I'm not agreeing just because she batted her pretty eyelashes at me.
If you insist.
Free food. It really isn't any of those. But it's something about her eyes, rather. She looks like she needs a good talk. A friend. And although I'm not supposed to be chummy with my client, there's no harm in pretending, right? Ah, that is a nice little place. Of course, I've been wrong on many occasions before. Maybe there's plenty of harm in pretending that I care. Because pretending I care might actually lead to caring. Being alone in the same room as the missus leaves me reeling as I find myself paying too much attention to her. It seems so borderline unhealthy. How much I'm getting obsessed, even if it's just by looking. And it's the little, insignificant things that I noticed, like the way she plays with her hair, or how much she soothes down her dress.
Up, higher, come on now!
Whiskey's annoying voice in the other room helps pull me back to the ground. I'm just looking, aren't I? I know that someone like her wouldn't even look at someone like me. Still, there's some time to turn around this bad decision.
I'd really like to thank you for inviting me to breakfast, Mrs. Wright. But I already ate, so I should really go back to work.
Nonsense! You arrived so early. You must not have gotten a proper meal. Sit, sit. I'd situate us in the dining hall, but it is a mess right now.
Her concern is sweet, as is her smile. But I'm actually not here for idle chit-chat. Something I keep forgetting. What? That actually doesn't look bad. We're both distracted when the food arrives, and it's enough for me to stay, at least until the meal is over. No more, no less, just to be polite. Thankfully, the conversation steers into a topic I'm comfortable with, work. This goes on for a bit, and I can't be more relieved. Most people don't understand, calling me a workaholic, but I choose to work in a field I'm enthusiastic about. So, what if my career is also my hobby?
But no, really, how have you liked it so far?
Oh, it has been wonderful, believe me. Everything is going smoothly too. It has been a long time since I've worked on something on this grand a scale.
Oh, Maurice, is that what that was? I don't know what that was, but I want to try it. It has been a long time since... Oh, fuck, I almost...
Nowadays, everyone is about condos and flats, living in the city where every room is an identical box.
I hate condos. I want to buy a house. Nice
Believe
porch.
me, this is very refreshing.
We lived in a condo before this, Marianne.
Thank you. Thank you, Watch.
I didn't mean any insult.
It's fine, sweetie.
Let me put that on Do Not Disturb. Give me one moment. No, I need to put it on sleep mode.
Look at you, all frazzled. I was just pulling your leg. Luke wanted that penthouse when we got married, and you can thank him for purchasing this place as well.
Wait, doesn't she own the house? I'm pretty sure. I have no business with it, though. It's theirs to hash out. But apparently, the momentary confusion had been visible on my face.
Don't be fooled. I'm just the treasury. I wouldn't be able to make a purchase this grand without his seal of approval.
I see.
That's it. That's all you have to say.
Yeah, what else is there to say? Without warning, this nice friendly chat devolved into something horrible. Something sad.
But I really don't know what to say, Mrs. Wright. We were talking of no topic in particular, and...
Luke. We were talking about Luke.
About him not eating breakfast with you?
About him treating me as if I were some treasury.
Despite my general dislike for the upper class, I sometimes feel pity for them. They may have all the money in the world, where material things aren't a problem, but they don't even see what they've become, where they've ended up, or what they've done most of the time. They're shut in by their own trap, forced to play along with society's expectations and do anything to stay where they are and keep what they have. A world where people feel or are treated like they are mere possessions. If anyone watched the last episode, or I think the episode before that, she's not going to divorce him for a reason. When someone is at the top, the only way to get them is down. I worked with many Hannas and Lukes and Whiskies, but I've never been one of them. I don't pretend to understand I don't pretend to understand their world any deeper than that. I merely know what I've witnessed before. She looks lost, speechless at how she betrayed herself. I pity for the likes of her returns. Nothing but pity moves me as I speak before she can say anything else that might ruin or break her.
I won't speak a word, Mrs. Wright. Not only am I contractually obliged to, it would also go against my principles. This is no one else's business but your own, and it should be kept between the two of you, and whoever you wish to seek counsel from.
Please, Marianne. You have to understand. These sort of affairs, if anyone were to know this, they could just twist it and we'll be ruined. All I ask for is your silence on the matter.
I literally just said that, lady. The way she practically begs me to keep quiet about it is disheartening. I have no plans to speak about it, anything I hear, especially if it's about their private affairs. But when she looks at me, the way she just expects some sort of fallout because of this makes my heart clench.
Well, I'm keeping that information confidential as well.
It's not like I have a choice, do I?
Thank you.
When the last of the food and drink is gone, the doors open as if on cue.
Madam, the photographer from Luxury Living is here.
This was a wonderful meal, Marianne. You're free to return to your duties. I must excuse myself.
It was my pleasure. And thank you for the food as well.
She stands up and leaves, and all I want to do is to reassure her again to prove that I am someone she can trust. So that when she looks back my way, I didn't fight the smile that found its way on my face. I feel giddy. But the feeling dies down afterwards as I sober up. Oh well, back to work. Soon enough, I find myself drawn to the kitchen, where the right butler has returned to. He has already claimed the space and telling movers to back off, and none dare to question his proclamation either.
My kitchen. No kinder allowed. Little men running around with knives especially. We do not want any accidents to happen now, do we? Good? Good.
I mean, it is a knife-wielding German standing there. I don't think anybody would be insane enough to refuse his request.
I hope I meet the age restriction, or at least the height restriction, because I'm asking to be let in here.
You are allowed inside, McCulloch, but not the little ones.
I shake my head and roll my eyes, is all I give him. It's not like I'm going to be any trouble for him. I just need to look around to get my bearings. The breakfast had been distraction enough. I don't even want to think about what we just talked about. I just need to get my head straight and get back to work. The movers work efficiently, even when they're left alone, and they do quick work of their responsibility. The head foreman comes standing in the doorway to consult me on this or that, and I have to go help every now and then. But they pretty much have everything up to standard. They skip lunch entirely, not even realizing when they do so. Nevertheless, all as well as the butler gets to heating up the leftover bubble and squeak from breakfast, and make generous batches of fish and chips for them. Most likely, simple in comparison to what he serves the rights, but well done nonetheless.
That smells good. Want to wrap up some for me to go?
It's an idle observation more than anything. My thoughts as they preoccupy me.
If there are any left. One can't go wrong with fish and chips. Everyone loves them. Even my husband. And he's American.
I really do hate getting so close and personal with my clients. It's a distraction. It is obvious to me that I've gotten my priorities all wrong when I can't help but think about what I heard, what I learned about the right couple. These things have their way of creeping up on a person. Thoughts, ideas, whether they are facts or fiction. By the way, really quickly, what you just saw happen, where he mentioned he had his husband, that's the perfect way to do something like that. That was absolutely perfect. That's something like what I want to do with the comic. But that's absolutely perfect. I wish more media would do something like that, because it's such a simple little line that lets you know, and then you move on. You know, you treat it more like a normal person. You treat it feels like more of a natural, like, response, if that makes sense. I like when games and stuff do that. Also, I want to see his husband. How about you guys? They creep up and fester, crawl and wither in a way that twists. I hear giggling and delighted mocking. They creep up and... the sensation of fingers ghosting briefly on my arm caused me to freeze and hiss.
Don't!
Yeah, not blowing it up and getting into the center of the conversation, right? I want I want to see the husband, and I want to, like, we know he's gonna move into the place, so it'll be cute. I have to expect her to be there.
Whoa, no need to scream bloody murder. It's just me. Quiet down before you break glass.
It's just whiskey.
Don't do that again. Ever.
I don't like being scared, though I don't believe in the likes of spooks. Being startled is not on the top of my list of things Marianne liked. Lucky for him, I have nothing within reach, or he would have gotten a friendly terms with something like a rolling pin.
What was with that reaction? Were you really scared? Has Johan's been telling you ghost stories? He just loves to scare people.
I love Johan. What about you guys? He's awesome.
Isn't that right, Brother Gurium?
You are such a shit. The butler's expression is unreadable. I hardly see any emotion on his face to begin with, since I started working on with the rights, besides vague amusement. There must have been something there, though, judging from Mr. Wright's own content look. The expression on Mr. Wright's face is almost cruel. But neither of them spoke, even as Johan leaves the room to serve the workers their late lunch.
So, now that we're alone, Marianne, what are you so jumpy for?
I was just thinking about all the urban legends the movers have been telling me about this place.
Don't tell me you believe in that tosh. They're nothing but tales made up to scare children. Timmy, Billy, don't you dare go up to that big mansion and get in trouble there. The ghosts are going to get you.
I kind of like Mr. Wright sometimes.
That's a boring way to look at it, but that's usually what it is anyway, no? Like I said, I was just thinking.
It would be a relief, actually, if those rumors of this place being haunted is true. That just means I'm not going bonkers. Hearing, let alone seeing a dead person isn't exactly the symptoms of a healthy mind. Sure, it means that there would be such things as ghosts and goblins, but at least I'd be sane. On the other hand, there would actually be a dead girl walking around.
If you could excuse the inane question, Mr. Wright, you haven't noticed anything weird here?
A simple enough question on the surface, yet I notice the man stiffen as the question leaves my mouth. I wouldn't have noticed it if I wasn't watching his reaction intently, but in his eyes, I see something dangerous.
It depends on your definition of the word weird. Are we still on the topic of this place being haunted? Because no, things have not started to fly around and we have yet to require an exorcism. I don't think my head would like to do the whole 180-degree turn thing.
Well, maybe that, but no strange people?
Aside from my usually weird butler and all the weird men traipsing around touching my things? No, not really.
Your butler's awesome, man.
Why do you ask? Have you noticed anyone strange while you were here? Because you must report it to Johans and he'll have security handle it. But these reports better not be about ghosts and things that go bump in the night. I don't want to waste manpower on the boogeyman or senseless witch hunts.
I'll keep that in mind, Mr. Wright. But no, it's nothing like that. I guess the mansion is just strange for me. It's a unique project.
No strange men or women lurking about then?
A dead teenager would technically qualify as a stranger. But yeah, the whole I see dead people thing isn't going to go over well.
None that I know of. But I'll inform Johans immediately if something comes up.
I'm serious, Mint. You see anything, anyone suspicious, and you report it. Immediately.
I feel like Mr. Wright's seen something, and I can't remember if he did or not in an older episode, so forgive me. It's been a while since we've really gotten into this game like this. But I feel like he's seen something.
I think
Also,
that goes without saying.
Can we all just make sure we protect Johan? We must protect Johan. Mostly because he's a shit, and I like that. The concerned look on his face talks of security is gone. His arrogant, smug smirk returns, if a bit subdued. Whatever smarmy remark or innuendo he has at the ready never comes, though, as voices from the dining hall ring out.
Joe, is this a full-time job for you then?
Nah, I just freelance mostly, for magazines, newspapers, and events. So you can't really call it a full-time job. It's fun and it puts food on the table, but it's not what I really want to do. At least not all the time.
That would be the magazine photographer, I presume. As always, Miss Wright talks in such a kind and cheery fashion, no matter who she's talking with. It certainly puts people at ease around her. It sounds like it's working on the photographer, too. Hearing them, though, seems to put Mr. Wright in a sour mood. At least, if his small scowl is anything to go by. Which one should we try, guys? Should we try to lighten the mood or ask if he's alright? Okay, I haven't played Luke yet. Okay. I'm actually wondering if we get to play Johan because I'm very, very curious about that. Nope, it doesn't look like you do because I want to know the background story of Johan and Luke. Because I feel like they're friends before, Luke got really rich. Because we have established that I don't believe he was before this. Get ready for a certain word. Lighten the mood. Oh, I remembered the word. Oh, God, right. So I'm going to preface what's about to happen by saying this if you haven't seen an earlier episode. What is being said in this game does not reflect the thoughts of this channel. And he is also a douchebag. So remember that. Because the last time he said this, I got in trouble.
You're not gonna go out there and join Mrs. Wright?
What do they do with her status? Okay, that might have been a bad one. I'm curious to see if that changes. Let's see.
Hey, are you alright there, Whiskey? You're looking like you need a serious drink.
Oh, hey, there you go.
What is it that you want to do then?
Films. Documentaries mostly. But cinematography is a lot more difficult than photography, right? I was working on this thing, actually.
I'm fine. Just a bit winded from all that moving about. It's been a long day.
And the day's not over yet. So if you can excuse the bloodness, you either shape up to help or ship out back to your room and let us do the rest of the work.
He hesitates, eyes locked firmly on the door that led to the dining hall. Even now, we can still hear Miss Wright and the photographer chit-chat in between shots. It's
not my place to say this, but she really does seem to care a lot about you, you know?
There's no need to remind me of that.
A strange smile appears on his face before he shuts his eyes and sighs.
Tell the workers that you're all dismissed early.
That's nice and all, Whiskey. But we really shouldn't just take off. Delays aren't a good thing when it comes to big projects like these. The sooner we tackle certain issues, the better.
And I trust you can take care of these issues another day. Don't make me ask again, Mint.
Is it weird that I kinda hope these two become friends? Like, I feel like there's a friendship there. Like a weird one.
Just tell the others they can go home early. And to not worry, they'll still get paid the remaining hours.
I kinda hope he opens up to her and acts like less of a dick. I don't know what prompted this. With the air he's putting on, though, I know better than to meddle and prod further. Besides...
Fine, you're the boss.
Walking out of the kitchen, I just accept the fact that whatever he says will go well under his roof. Miss Wright and the photographer are still far too busy in conversation to notice me, even as I make my way through the dining hall. Besides, I didn't want to ruin their fun.
Well, it wasn't really a big thing. People didn't like Blue Fonzie very much.
People don't like a film about colors. I suppose they would have liked Blue Bibby a lot more.
Going to the foyer has me stumble upon a familiar butler once more, who raises a brow at my presence.
And where are you off to in a hurry, Miss McCulloch? The foreman is looking for you.
The Bratwurst wants us off the clock. He's dismissing us early because of... Oh, I don't know. He just wants us out of here.
I'll go and call a cab for you then. It would be for the best that you leave when he asks you to.
I don't doubt it. My ride back to the city doesn't take too long to get here. Granted, there were some difficulties at first, because the driver didn't know where the Emergard mansion is. Wait. So if I pull the other one, I'll hear it? Hold on. We're gonna save here. So, Matt, if I choose the other one, try to lighten the mood, will we hear it? And I really shouldn't be pushing for this. I'm actually just curious. It's the gamer word, everyone. You know what that means. Yes, it was. In fact, the first time it came up, I almost... No, I don't think she was around when he said it. Yes. Now everybody in the chat got it. Yeah. You can hear it in an earlier episode of this. I don't bleep it out. Because it's part of the game and there's a reason for it. Welcome. If you don't get it, it's something with a hard R. And I can't say it. And I don't want to say it. Because I like not getting my ass kicked. The shift in tones was jarring. She went from softer tone to being uber pissy. Yeah. Remember when I said he's a dick? Yes. Like I said, watch an earlier episode. I think it's episode 4 or 5, maybe? Maybe even earlier than that. He tried to have us hand over the GPS coordinates before our smartphones or some other techno-babble I didn't care about, and the butler didn't understand. But as soon as we told him it's that haunted mansion over in Anselm Village, he knew just the place. I thought it was the other word. Yeah. And finally headed over, albeit with some hesitation. If it makes it easier for people to understand, look at what the photographer looks like. I'm doing okay. I'm finally getting a little tired, so we're going to go a few more minutes with this. All the way back to the city, the driver keeps complaining about the place giving him the willies. It gives me the willies too. I would have loved to snap at him. But as soon as that thought occurs to me, another blossoms in the forefront of my mind. One that has somehow bothered me greatly, more than my expiration over whiskey and this project, or wanting it to stop. There's been no Lorelane whispering in my ear today. Worse, I find myself searching for it, searching for her. Daniel Otte, loose ends, fucking bloody loose ends everywhere. I thought I already moved past this years ago. And it does nothing to help me curb my frustration. If anything, it only ensures that I want a stiff drink. Fucking toast. Oh, okay. Never mind. That's important. And where else do I go to drink? Tuesday for karaoke and Wednesday for improv. Well, we'll find this out next time, guys. It's already 4:25 in the morning, and I'm exhausted. Hopefully I can get some sleep. If you guys like this, maybe we'll do more late night horror like this. I think I'll be doing the letter live from now on. Now everyone go get some sleep and get to work, or whatever you're doing. Good night, everyone. See you all later.
Good night.